Welcome to the Lockdown Lectures, where we are learning about the lives of some of Manchester's amazing researchers. Today we're joined by award-winning author, broadcaster and columnist Gary Younge, Professor of Sociology and School of Social Sciences. Gary grew up in Hertfordshire before joining The Guardian in 1993. What has followed is an incredible career in journalism, reporting and commentating from across the globe. He has won several prizes for his journalism, and his books have received considerable acclaim. He is described as one of the leading thinkers and writers on politics and society working in Britain today. Welcome, Gary.
Hi, Megan.
So at the moment, obviously, we're all adapting to a new normal because of the pandemic. So how are you coping with lockdown? Have you got anything in particular that's getting you through? Perhaps any compulsive reading or viewing?
I don't know that I am coping with lockdown, really. I mean, I guess I'm getting through it, and as far as I know, I haven't had it yet, so I guess I am. But I'd say a couple of things. Homeschooling with the kids, that keeps you really honest and grounded. I have a 7-year-old and a 13-year-old, and you have to kind of keep adapting to the state that they're in and the degree to which they are kind of interested or whatever. So that's one way that I've been coping with it. And another way is catching up with people that I've meant to speak to for a long time and haven't had a chance. And then I'm really just going in. I'm doing quite a lot of reading, but it's not compulsive really. But my viewing has kind of become quite compulsive, and that's all about just kind of getting through a series of not trashy exactly, but not particularly highbrow. So I'm getting through Modern Family at the moment, the American series. I wanted to rewatch The Queen, which I did, and kind of trying to introduce my children to try to get my son to watch The Matrix. So films that I think that they'd like, but that and that I liked, but that somehow you never get a chance to see.
Sounds good. And what else do you think the pandemic has taught us about race and inequality in Britain today and elsewhere?
Well, it feels to me when I was a journalist primarily, I would use this. There was this phrase in journalism: when a dog bites a man, that's a story. That's not a story, because dogs bite people all the time. When a man bites a dog, that's a story, because it's so rare. And I used to think, well, sometimes you have to ask yourself, well, who owns these dogs? And why do the same people keep getting bitten? And what can we do to control these dogs? And that sometimes the things that are not normal, every day, the things that we become accustomed to are kind of obscene. And we have become accustomed in this country to a level of inequality, particularly with regard to race and class, but not exclusively. And what this virus has done is just expose the degree to which that's true and how it works. And that's true here, it's true in America, in pretty much every country. The poorest people get it hardest, are overwhelmingly more likely to get it. And that's because they're the people who are most likely to have to work, the people who are most likely to be in kind of cramped or smaller spaces. And in Britain, the extra thing, which is not necessarily true in all countries, but that non-white people are massively overrepresented in the health service, because non-white people, like my mum being a good example, built the health service. Not exclusively, but over, disproportionately. And so you see these inequalities come to the fore. It reminds me of covering Hurricane Katrina in America in 2005. And knowing all that one needs to know about kind of racial inequality, and then kind of in that case, literally seeing it washed up in the bodies. And so here, I think it gives us yet one more opportunity to understand racism and inequality in a more sophisticated way than we have. That it's not about bad people doing bad things. I don't think anyone's going around deliberately coughing on non-white people and poor people to give them coronavirus. It's not about bad people. It's about a system that puts certain people to the bottom, and then that determines their life chances in a range of ways. And that's what we're seeing here, is the systemic and structural nature of the problem in real life and death.
And this next question was submitted via Twitter by Dr. Linda Jean Pitwood, and she asks, what does this crisis tell us about the role of research in shaping political decisions?
That's a good question. I think it tells us a lot, because we've been through this period for reasons that one can explain and can have some sympathy with, of the mocking of the expert. Now, the reason I think you can have some sympathy with that is because you have the financial crisis and experts saying, well, this will never happen, or, everything's going to be okay, or, and then you've had a certain type of person talking down to people and calling themselves experts, and that's been a problem. But then we went from there to a full-blown reaction, which was for climate deniers and a certain kind of political animal that said, knowledge doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you say you know. It doesn't matter what how much research you've done. The facts kind of are irrelevant because my feelings have taken over, and that's kind of shaped our politics for way too long. I remember in America, and this was as true of Obama supporters when I was a foreign correspondent in America for The Guardian. It was as true of Obama supporters as it was of Bush supporters, and Trump supporters were a little bit extra, but it's the same idea, which was, this is what I think. And I remember saying to one man, I said, do you think that Donald Trump will make America great again? Well, no. I said, why do you like Donald Trump? And he said, I think he's going to make America great again. And I said, do you think he really will? And he said, no, but I think he'll try. And that it didn't matter if they said, well, how's your socialist medicine doing in Britain? By which they mean the NHS. And you'd say, well, actually, it's really popular. It's more popular than the Queen. And they would say, well, that's not what I've heard. And he said, but it's true, actually. So I think what this crisis has done, suddenly experts matter. Well, not suddenly, but in critically, experts matter. And it doesn't mean that they get everything right. And what's quite interesting about listening to experts is the degree to which they do this golden thing, which politicians never do, and my guess is professors don't do enough probably, which is saying, I don't know. When will this end? I don't know. How will this? Well, these are the things that we know. And, this is the kind of parameters that we are working within. And that kind of, paradoxically, that's a very important aspect of what a expert needs to be able to do, is to tell people not just what they do know and what their experience has been, but also what they don't know.
So, Gary, you recently became a Professor of Sociology. What are you most looking forward to when we get back onto campus at the University of Manchester?
Well, I'm most looking forward to being there. I came on staff on April the 1st. So there was no campus and there was no students. So my experience of being a lecturer, of being a professor, of being in the family of kind of Manchester faculty is literally virtual. And so, I look forward to having a coffee, and not a virtual one, a real one in a real place where real people might walk by, and not having to schedule a chat and things like that. So I'm actually looking forward literally to the whole thing, because I haven't had any of it yet.
Brilliant. And looking back over what has been an incredible career, what advice would you have given yourself at the start of your career?
Take your time. That it can be at the beginning. There can be an awful lot of anxiety. You'll see someone shoot up like a star somewhere, and you will think there will be an opportunity a chance that will not fall your way, and you think that's it. That's it. You know, now I'm just going to have to go and work in Burger King, or you know, my dreams are over. And it's a very, very long. It's a long game. It's a long haul, and that you. So you have to pace yourself, you know, which I've not always been good at myself. And then I would also say that you should kind of follow your interests, as opposed to follow the money or the status. You should follow your interests. That kind of, you only get one life, and you want it to be interesting. You're not going to take the money with you, and the status only means something to you if you are very insecure. The status is really inside. So you need to follow the things that you are. I mean, you need to eat, but you need to follow the things that make you engaged and make you happy. Otherwise, you'll be, you know, you could be a really rich, really powerful, miserable person. There's quite a lot of those about. Don't need another one.
That's really great advice. And what advice would you have given to yourself at the start of the lockdown?
Get your hair cut. I would have got my hair cut. I thought it was going to go on this long. There's nobody in this house that I trust with my hair, not because it's precious, but because in this particular field, it's just not going to happen in my house. And I don't know when the barbers are going to start opening up again, and when they do, there's going to be a big queue, and I could look like a kind of early version of Michael Jackson by the time that happens. So I would have got my hair cut.
I'm sure a lot of people will say the same thing. Gary, thank you so much for taking the time to answer those questions. I'll now hand over to you for the lockdown lecture.